We turn now to the Republican primary in that same district, 106, Miami-Dade's coastal communities, Aventura to South Beach. Of all 120 Florida House seats, this is the only race where a Republican candidate is challenging her own party's incumbent. State Rep Fabian Basabe is finishing his first term, which he won by just a few hundred votes. He's had some drama in office, and he now faces a primary challenge by a member of his own party, candidate Melinda Almonte, right here at the table to say hello and chat for a while. And it is so nice to meet you and have you here.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So there was not supposed to be drama in this side of the primary next month, but it is very unusual for a candidate to challenge an incumbent of her own party. So why are you?
Well, first of all, I didn't really actually know it was that unusual, to be honest with you. And the second part of the analysis is that I basically looked at the situation and said, well, how qualified is this particular person? What are his qualifications? What has been his time in office, which, as we know, has been plagued by a number of issues, to be kind, and not really any particular experience career-wise or legal or financial or anything else. And I said, you know what, I can bring a lot more to the table for our district.
And I want to talk about that because I want to talk about you, but I do want to talk about him for a moment because I want to get a sense of what it is that you don't think he's done a good job with. I mean, he's done some good things for the district. We'll have him here. He'll talk about that. To you, what are you hoping to change about what he's done?
Well, I think, again, one can only look at the bills that were presented. Well, first of all, as you know, he abstained from the abortion vote, even though originally he had said he abstained from voting, although originally he said he was pro-reproductive freedom. And furthermore, it's not so much what has he done or not done. What you need, in my view, what you need at the table are people who can actually put forth real solutions and real policy things that can move the needle, not just accept whatever's given to you and say, okay, well, this is where we sign on the dotted line.
So you have, you're running sort of as a renegade in your own party at the moment.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how the ecosystem works. There's an incumbent and the party is behind the incumbent. So you are an attorney by education, a financial advisor,
Yes, ma'am, I was, yes.
Okay, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you bring to the table. I mean, why run for office?
Why me?
Why you?
Okay, why me? Okay, well, why me? So I am a native Floridian. I grew up mostly in northern Florida and central Florida. And I went to University of Florida, and then I graduated from University of South Florida. I'm trying to make this as brief as possible. And I went to Emory Law School, and then I moved to New York City, like just totally unbeknownst to what New York City actually is. But I got lucky, I got a good job, and then I went back to school and I got my Master's of Law in Taxation from NYU, which also teaches you a lot about the implications of the tax system on policy making. And I also studied urban planning in that particular LLM.
So wait, with that, just for the record, there's a lot of New York City fans in our world, so no dissing there.
Yeah, no, we love New York.
What about the state budget then, and what about the priorities and the funding do you find fault with?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, fault. I mean, again,
one can reprioritize.
Okay, reprioritize for sure. Let me, from a personal standpoint, I have twin sons. They're 23 years old now. And unfortunately, they were victims of severe medical malpractice in Puerto Rico. And one was left with very little vision. He's blind. And the other one has some cognitive impairments. So after those events occurred, I took my kids and I moved to Miami so that we could get educational opportunities, and medical situation needed to be addressed. So that's kind of what happened. My career was in New York, and then everything kind of had to come to a halt when I came to Miami so I could help my kids there's more medical stuff that I'm not even going to go into.
You became advocate mother.
I was advocate mother, and I also helped other disabled kids as we went through the education system, because the disabled children have what's called an individual education plan. So I would help other parents with their plans, you know, just getting involved and helping. And my son goes to the Miami Lighthouse for the Blind, which is a fantastic place. So I also, you know, do things with them.
So in the state's philosophy at the moment is there's a lot of funding for mental health. There's a lot of funding for routed through private companies, but there's very little appetite for public money going into that.
Okay, so that's what I want to talk about. Here's what happened. This was my major impetus for running in the first place. After my kids graduated from high school, during high school and during the educational years, you're part of the county school system, which by law, by federal law, has to provide various services under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So everything was going pretty well, and Miami-Dade Public County Schools did a great job, and I applaud them, yay. So then after that is when I really hit the roadblock, because then they say go to these government agencies, and then they have these third-party vendors that you're supposed to go out to somehow. I don't even know how. And I made so many phone calls, I did all the interviews, I did all the things we were supposed to do, and all I can tell you is that I hit roadblock after roadblock and accomplished nothing. So how can it be that I'm here and I actually have a education that should be able to get these things accomplished? I ended up having to go outside of the realm of the government where the funds are actually allocated, but they're not getting to the recipients because the programs aren't run properly and they're not streamlined properly.
So that is a focus. That's an interesting and
for me personally, yes.
I was not expecting to talk about that, but that's an interesting focus for your candidacy. So you mentioned before the abortion vote. You are a conservative woman in favor of abortion rights and
Yes,
against
that is
the
correct.
current 6-week ban?
That is correct. And again, my feeling has been, and my understanding based on everyone that I speak to that's a Republican woman or Republican man for that matter, 6 weeks is a bridge too far. It's just too much. And as I've said before, you know, we're supposed to be a representative democracy. So we have to represent the district. It's what the people want in the district, not what a few people think is appropriate. Those are decisions, again, that they can put forth, and they can provide funding for people to raise children, have the children, whatever the case may be, but not to say you can't have an abortion.
So the legislature right now is a 2-to-1 Republican majority. The District 106 that you're running for, we talked about, is kind of split, DR independent, one-third,
Pretty
one-third.
much.
So you're ready to go to Tallahassee and buck your party's votes in favor of your constituents if you think that's what is the right thing to do?
Every day of the week, because that's what you're elected for.
So let me just really quickly, in the TV minute that we have left, the coastal communities, sea level rise, however you think that happens or not,
flooding,
and
yeah,
flooding,
it's happening.
And property insurance is
Yes.
the #1.
Big time.
Is the legislature doing the right thing in revamping the property insurance rules to create competition?
Yes, the Republicans did a great job on that piece of legislation. Or 3 pieces of, well, it's one piece, but it's got different parts.
We don't have to explain
we don't
it
have
right
to,
now,
yeah, we will,
but
they did do a good job, and it will
Okay.
bring back the competition. It will take time. I think the thing that has to be addressed is condo reserve requirements. That they've also gone, I think we're not digging into what truly happened. What are we trying to protect against? We're trying to protect against what happened at Champlain Towers. But first of all, we don't know exactly what happened completely at Champlain Towers, that we have a lot of supposition.
They have a clear idea of the possibilities.
Yeah, I think we do. But what's happening now is we've gone once again, it's the policy implications of or I should say unintended consequences, because now we have grandma receiving a bill for $100,000 in her condo that she's lived in for 30 years. The condo is perfectly safe. What's going to happen to grandma? She's going to be homeless.
That is the assessment rise that's about to happen is going to be a subject of one of our programs in the future, a huge issue. Melinda Almonte, great meeting you, and a very little taste for people to see your candidacy.
I appreciate it.
We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you.
All right.